Hey guys, I'm Miss Krystle. I am an entertainment attorney. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent musician. As an entertainment attorney, I get asked all the time by my clients, what is it that makes independent musicians successful, or how do you kind of break through? How do you break through all of the noise? And so not just from what I've seen from my own clients, but also myself as a musician, I wanted to provide some of the best tips, tricks, and things just to keep in mind to help propel your career to the next level. Define success. When you define success, it can be what that word means for you. Maybe success is monetary. Maybe it's you just want to be the next Instagram star and you want to be able to feature your music, or you want to have just a sustainable career based on the fact that you are just doing music, you're able to fund everything else. All I can say is, for me, my definition of success is that I'm just able to make music and I'm able to have a career based on how I want to do it, based on my rules. So the reason this is so important is because as you kind of get along into your career, if you're not already there right now, things can get really difficult. And when they do, you have to remind yourself why you're doing this in the first place. Commit. Committing to your career is probably one of the most important things that you will ever do. And I say that because failure is absolutely part of any success that you're going to have, and failure is very much going to happen throughout your career over and over, regardless of what stage that you are at. So the reason that I want to make this such an emphasized point is to understand that there is no plan B. If you are a musician, if making art is where your heart is at, then there is no other option. If that means you have to get a day job to help supplement your income so you can get where you want to be sustainable, that's all okay. But something I just want to really emphasize is there should never be a plan B. There should never be I'm giving this a year, we'll see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, then that's okay, I'm gonna go to medical school or whatever it is that your parents told you you need to do. Keep that in mind. And like I said, commit. Experiment. As you go along in your career, I would strongly encourage you to try different genres, try different rhythms and singing styles. And the reason I say this is because even for me, early in my career, when I was writing by myself, learning how to produce, I had natural tendencies towards edgy, dark pop music. And over time, as I worked with other producers and I collaborated, I got pulled into some genres I would not have gone into otherwise. Even kind of writing music more mainstream pop, I did some tracks that were electronic dance music or EDM. And in fact, some of those songs ended up charting. So they would chart and be #1 on Beatport, that kind of thing. And it opened doors. So it helped me to grow as a musician, and it also helped me to really knuckle down and define what it was that I wanted to do. Now, over time, I've kind of gone a 360. I'm back to what's now defined as agropop, which is aggressive pop music. So for me, I know what it is that I want to do now. I don't need to experiment, but that helped me to really define myself as an artist. So for you, if you already know what you want to do, fantastic. If you're not sure, that's okay. It just means you haven't tried enough things. Grow as an artist. Throughout your career, you are going to be releasing music. You're working with different songwriters and different producers, but never forget that you always need to work on your craft. You need to, if you're a singer, take voice lessons. If you are a guitar player, always be trying to improve, because ultimately your value is going to be your skill level and of course other things like, social media marketing and your followers and that kind of thing. What I want to challenge my followers to think about is, how can you get better? Especially if, let's say, you haven't hit it out of the park with any of your songs just yet. Maybe your first song is a big flop. Maybe you still haven't hit it by song 20. That's okay, but never get discouraged so that you stop trying, to grow as an artist. Really take it upon yourself to say, how can I grow today and how can I get better? And remember, it only takes one song to go viral and to put you on the map in a real kind of way. And in fact, one of my clients is just like this. It's the most obscene kind of thing to have someone release a song and by their third single, they are now having millions and millions of plays. It does happen. It's amazing. And like I said, it just takes one song. Defining your brand. Defining your brand is incredibly important because it not only identifies your music, your clothes, but it allows you to really think about the growth of yourself as an entrepreneur in the future. So let's say you knock it out of the park, you're doing really well, you're probably going to want to put out some clothing items. You're probably going to want to maybe launch a makeup line. The opportunities are endless. So what I want you to think about now, and without getting into a whole diatribe about trademarks, the difference between a federal trademark and a state trademark, I'll probably just do a whole video just for that later. If you guys want to see that, drop a comment down below. But at least for purposes of this conversation, I want you to think about what is most organic to you. What is the most real? So things like slogans. Do you have certain words that you like to say in your songs? Do you like to have funny colored hair so that becomes your entire brand identifier? Whatever it is for you, really kind of knuckle down on those things, but also try things and see what kind of works, what resonates with your fans. And once you kind of have those brand identifiers, at that point you can talk to an entertainment attorney and get some help and get things actually, protected properly. But nonetheless, think about your brand as if you were a business, because you are a business. Ownership. Understand that whoever owns the music holds the power. Now, I'm going to touch on this a little bit more superficially without getting into like a whole conversation about record labels and kind of my philosophy on that and why you do or why you don't sign with a record label. But regardless of what position that you are in, always stay in the driver's seat. This is the most important thing. Understand that you need to be in important meetings with executives, making decisions on where your music gets placed, whether it goes into certain films or whether you sign it to some, other label or whatever these paramount decisions are for your career. Ownership is really, really important. If I approach you and I say, here's this wonderful opportunity and I kind of have, some money attached to my offer, it's all very exciting, but usually the exchange is that you're giving up ownership for your music. Now, if you're giving up ownership for your music, let's say for the next 5 albums that you release, well, that could be probably the most important portion of your career. So at the end of that, you don't own any of your music. And so besides some of the considerations about power and having control over your career, just also think, is that where you want to be? Do you want to be able to do something with your music further down the line, or are you going to need to get permission for other people? For me, I can just say that I own my entire catalog. This has been something that's very important to me since I was a teenager putting out music. So I'm always the person who owns my music, and I'm very careful when I kind of assign rights. So that's something I really encourage you to think about. And especially if the trade-off is that someone is giving you something and in return they're taking your ownership, that thing that you are getting better be pretty good. Invest in yourself. When I say invest in yourself, I mean learn how to do everything yourself. When you have team members who come in to help you with certain things, that's fantastic. It helps your operation. It helps you to grow. However, you will lose team members as you go along. So if you lost your marketing person, but you have no idea how to set up Facebook ads and Instagram ads, but understanding that's a huge part of what you do as a musician, of getting your music out there, you better know how to do that stuff yourself. So invest in self-learning, take courses, and as your team members learn new things, make sure you take time to do those things together. So regardless of what happens in your career, you're ready to rock and roll and you can do it yourself. Ignore the hate. Now, when I say ignore the hate, you know I'm talking about that social media troll. You know I'm talking about the 2 people on YouTube who have just made it their life's mission to let you know you suck every time you release a new song. Besides those people who you really should just block. You also need to just remember that sometimes the hate kind of comes from the people that are closest to you. Sometimes it's your family and your friends, and maybe it's not even because they are ill-willed. Maybe they just think that you need to get that 9 to 5. This isn't going to work out. What are you thinking? But at the end of the day, you just have to stay the course. Now, in addition to that, you kind of need to ignore the good stuff too. Just because someone decides to kiss your butt and they're telling you you are absolutely incredible and you could do no wrong, they might not be coming from a good place either. So you just need to make sure that when you are making your art, when you are releasing music, you are doing it for you. And at the end of the day, that you are just being the most genuine, original self that you possibly can be. Like I said, ignore the haters, but also ignore the good stuff. Just focus on connecting with your fans and releasing good art. Invest in your fans. At the end of the day, the whole point of why we do this is so that we can connect with people who care about our music. We try to get signed with a record label because we hope that they're going to put us on a platform and help us reach new fans. We try to get into magazines and get reviews for the exact same purpose, but understanding that if you can just connect directly with a fan because you set up, let's say, a Facebook ad and now you have that person following you, invest in not only their time by giving them value, releasing music, but try to do things. Try to do special things on social media, or Even for me, I have a Facebook group through my Miss Krystle page. That group is just for kind of my VIPs. I post in there every single day, say good morning, so we can kind of have daily chats. So whatever it is, if you can do something for your most VIP people who support you, those are the ones who at the end of the day matter the most. And it makes a big difference because they're supporting you with their time, with their money to come out to your shows, to buy your merchandise. So the least that you can do is invest back into the relationship with them. Self-learning. Self-learning is really a pillar of your career, and it needs to be something that you do on a daily basis. My little tried and true trick is that when I'm getting ready in the morning, which I hate doing, I will put my phone on one of those little phone stands. They're like $10 from Amazon, and I will just kind of put in questions that I have about marketing, about booking, about record labels, and I will kind of ingest other people's content and information so that I can utilize that time and kind of repurpose it. So however or wherever you can find that time, maybe it's when you are driving, you can listen to some Audible books, whatever it is, just make sure that you continue to invest in yourself by self-learning. Patience is key. Patience can be so difficult, especially when you are young. And I know even for me, early in my 20s, patience was so incredibly difficult, and I just felt so much frustration and angst because I felt like I was doing everything right. I felt like I had the talent and the drive, but nothing was happening, or things weren't happening at the rate that I wanted them to. And it was understanding that even in those moments where you feel very helpless and you feel very defeated, that you know that you're not going to stop. And you're just going to keep going, because as long as you are consistent, as long as you understand that this is a marathon, things will work out. It's just up to you to continue being creative, continue trying new things, keep putting out music. And at the end of the day, anyone successful will always say the same thing. They will say how much they struggled, how many times that they failed. But the uniform thread through all of them is that none of those people ever gave up, and they just kept going. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time a new video pops up. And also, I'm excited because this is the first time that I have done a video quite like this. While this was a little more overview, my next few videos are going to be much more deep dives. I want to talk about things like music marketing, trademarks, copyright, and a whole lot of how-tos based on the last 20 years of my experience being in the entertainment industry. I'll see you guys on the next one.